So here I am now in the countryside in what's called a Rambla, which is a dry riverbed, and what I want to do is to try and capture something of the houses and the mountain over there. Let's see if we can zoom in and see those a bit closer. There we go. And I'm going to go for something, I think, like this. So you get the side of the mountain coming down, and then the houses tucked in at the very bottom of it. So that's what I'm going to have a go at with gouache in my sketchbook. So I'm all set up here with the kit on the tripod. I'm trying to get in the shade of this fig tree that's here, and there's some lovely juicy figs on the tree, and trying to get in the shade of that as the sun goes around, trying to keep my paper here in the shade so that I can paint without the glare of the sun on it. So there's the my palette here, and it just needs a bit of a spray because everything's got a bit dried up, but a little spray of water will just reactivate all that gouache paint and make it nice to use. And the first thing I'm going to do is to just sketch out with a pencil the rough lines of what I'm aiming at. I'm just going to use two brushes. I've got a small flat one and a round one which has a decent point on it as well. I'm going to start with a flat and going to come in with the sky. Now with this gouache, I quite like these days making the sky a little bit more watery, a little bit more watercolory. Although I do add some white in with the mix. So I've just come in with some cerulean blue, and I'm just going to grey that down a little bit with something else that's in the palette, just knock the intensity right out of it just a little bit. Now, magic. Let's spray the paper, keep it moist, and I'm just going to run this in as if it was a watercolour wash really. There's some clouds in the sky, so I'm going to try and keep some of that in, but basically I just want to try and put something of this sky in and leave it at that really. I'm not going to do too much to it, that will sort itself out. Again, this is quite watery. I'm going to come in thicker with some of the other things that I want to paint, but at the moment I'm quite happy with this being a bit watery, a bit watercolory. That's absolutely fine. That'll do, that'll capture it. We can always go over with more opaque paint afterwards. Let's get a little bit of the foreground in, it's a mixture of trees and sort of yellow ochre kind of ground. I'm going to add a little bit more white to these mixtures now to make them a little bit more solid. It just brings them into the foreground a bit more. That will dry a bit more solid. Blend that in, and there's some greens in here as well, so let's come in with something a bit more greeny, and again all these things can be painted over with the opaque paint. It's a rough representation of what's here. This is fine, we can work on this. Just want to get something down at the moment on the paper. So we've got shadow on there, and whoops, hey, never mind, that can stay in the front. Under the eaves there a little bit. Okay. Actually, let me bring some of that in where I made that splodge on it. Let me just bring in some other bits and pieces. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spatter some colours on there, because I want the foreground to be a little bit way up. I want the foreground to be a little bit abstract. Made a right mess there, but I think with a damp, clean brush I can just get rid of that. It's a nice thing with this paint, you can actually lift quite a lot of it off if it goes wrong. Put some windows in those houses. Well, I've got a little brush. Just going to come in with a little bit of a dark colour and just lay in some of these windows that are really quite important in the houses. Just also just brings those to life, doesn't it? Now let's work on bringing some life into those trees. So I'm going to add a bit of white and a bit of lemon yellow into the mix. So we're coming on now with kind of thicker gouache paint coming in to highlight things, possibly a little bit bright. Let's put a bit more blue in there, knock it back a bit. I'm going to use some of this colour as well in the foreground. There's various sort of things that are growing up here. I'm not going to mark them out exactly as they are in nature here, but I just want to put in some various bits of plants and things that are here. I come in well with some yellow ochre and white, again to change the colours a little bit, let a few things blend and let a few things come in. In front of the houses here, there's bits of bushes and things that just need to come on in front of them. Okay, we're kind of nearing completion. It's a very quick sketch. Obviously, don't know how long it's taken, but it's not very long. But often when you're outdoors, you don't have very long. So we're just trying to capture the essence rather than the exactitude of what's here. We're capturing the feel of what it is that we've got here. And I think we've pretty much done that. I think it's not bad. So that's the last page in the sketchbook that I started in February. It's now October, so it's taken me quite a while to get through it. And what I'll do at the end of this video is just show you a flick through of some of the other pictures that I've got in here that you might like to see.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell